Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and for hitting the like button. Today we have 4 great stories. If you enjoy them, please subscribe and hit the like button. And now let's begin, shall we? The first story is called You Don't Need an Engineer. So I work for a company that provides voice over IP, networking solutions and IT support. I get this call from a well-known angry customer who also happens to be friends with the boss. Let's call him Bob. To top it off, we usually only support businesses and not residential customers, but we sold him some internet on the cheap for his mother's house. But after, he cut me off. You sold us dodgy internet, been trying to call you all weekend. Sorry sir, our offices are only open 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, but let me take some details for you and I'll run some tests on our side and get back to you. My mother is 86 years old and is a vulnerable person and hasn't been able to watch TV. I understand that sir, but if you give me some details I can investigate for you and get this resolved ASAP. No, just send an engineer out tonight. This was at 4:30 on a Monday. With that, he ends the call. At this point I go away and speak to my manager and the big boss. Get some background, find the details I need to investigate and the lines are fine. Then Bob calls again. Are you sending an engineer? I run some checks on the circuit and it's absolutely fine, so an engineer wouldn't be able to do anything. If you tell me what the problem is, I can help you to try and resolve it over the phone. No, just send the engineer. Okay, but you will have to accept potential charges if the fault is not with the line and is with the local equipment. I really think we should try some first line resolutions first. No, send the engineer. 24 hours and a £270 call out charge later, Bob calls again. The engineer didn't fix the internet. Why am I being charged? As I previously stated, the line checks were fine and the engineer is only responsible for line maintenance. It sounded like it was a local issue. Fine, you get down here and sort out the router. It has to be that router you sold us. I will have to clear this with the big boss. Should we go over first line resolutions first or at least give me a description of the problem? No, I'll speak to the boss myself. And with that, he hangs up. The boss comes over to me and says, just to shut him up, would you fancy going to take a look? Usual charges would apply if it's not a fault with our equipment. No problem. So I go to visit the house. Luckily Bob isn't there, but his sister is, who is polite enough. It turns out there was an issue with their Android streaming box, used to stream international channels, and since they were nice enough, I reconfigured that for them. They also had no other devices actually connected to the Wi-Fi, so I connected the house up, including their security system, etc. The best part of this is that I could have talked him through all of this as it was very simple stuff, even though they aren't covered. This would have taken 10 to 15 minutes, but he ended up paying over £500 in call-out charges. The next story is called You Need Me More Than I Need You. A while ago I used to work as a shift manager at a very popular US coffee and donut chain. The owner of this franchise branch was the absolute worst. To put how outrageous her treatment of staff was into perspective, I watched this woman training a new male coworker once. He messed up a drink and she proceeded to throw the drink on the ground and demand he clean it up. She also demanded we include her when dividing tips up at the end of every night. Pretty sure that's illegal, but hey, I was 17 and didn't know any better. Anyways, I had this 30-something female coworker with 2 children. She was from India and would always bring a little extra dinner with her when we worked together to get me to try foods from her culture. She was such a sweetheart and a key player in this story. At the time I had been working there for 3 years. I was a shift manager and was primarily in charge of training new hires for the closing shift. One day, my lovely female coworker comes in, extremely upset. She explains that after working 6 days a week every week for the past few months, she was denied off for her son's birthday party. I immediately told her not to worry, as I was free that day and would work for her, no problem. I come into work early the next day when the owner was still in to let her know I would be taking the lovely coworker's shift on her son's birthday. Mind you, the date in question was almost a month away, so we were giving her plenty of notice. The owner says that will not be happening with a smile and tells me to get to work. Something about her smile told me she was getting off on denying my coworker this day off with her family. And that broke something in me. For the next 3 weeks I stewed. I wrote out my 2 weeks notice and kept it in a sealed envelope in my car. We were short-staffed and new hires needed training, so I decided to stick it out a little longer so that my other co-workers wouldn't have to pick up the slack. One day I pull in for my shift and see that the owner is in. I walk in and hear yelling from the back. The owner is back there screaming at the group of morning shift workers in what I assume is Hindi. She then dismissed them and starts in on my lovely co-worker and another co-worker in English about how incompetent they are. At this point I am done. I get between her and my co-workers and go off, telling her that we are all tired of her abuse. And that I will not stand to see her targeting lovely co-worker anymore, denying her days off out of spite. We go back and forth, yelling for a bit, and then she says, "If you don't like it, then get out of my sight." I reply, "I quit. You need me more than I need you anyway." She smugly replies, "I'll be needing you to hand in an official notice of that. You can come to visit me tomorrow in my office." Little did she know, on this particular day I had my resignation letter in my apron. Nothing felt as good as ripping that letter out of my apron and slamming it down on the counter, wishing all of my co-workers the best and telling the owner to have fun burning in hell. She took me off the schedule for my last 2 weeks. But I heard from the lovely co-worker that the owner was having to work 12-hour days to work out hiring new people and training everyone who was coming in. The third story is called "He Wants a Doctor's Note." At the time I worked at a larger organization that had a staff of around 1500 people in a travel-related industry. As we all know about the travel industry, certain times are busier than most, and during those times non-pre-approved vacation and days off etc. are blocked out. If you call off sick, you need a doctor's note when you return to work. Generally, the management doesn't care, cause it's your sick time that you've earned. But we all have that one guy, Bob. Bob got promoted cause he was a company man. A yes man, a dude who drank so much Kool-Aid that it oozed from his pores. It was nearing Christmas time, busy holiday travel time, so it's all hands on deck. Several days before and after are blocked out for those vacation days etc. This blocking out extended past the new year. I came into work on Monday and went home feeling unwell, nothing too terrible, just a feeling of malaise. Something a day's rest and a good night's sleep should fix. So Monday night I called in to let them know I was going to take a sick day to rest and recover and be at 100% for the impending holiday. So I call in and who answered the phone but Bob. I tell him that I'm gonna take a sick day since I'm not feeling too well. Without skipping a beat, he says, "Remember the holiday period starts tomorrow. If you call off sick, you'll need a doctor's note." I imagine him sitting on the other side of the phone, all excited and happy that he reminded me of the doctor's note instead of wishing me well. I respond, "Okay, cool. You want a doctor's note when I get back, right? Otherwise I get a write-up? Yep, gonna need a doctor's note." Cue malicious compliance. Sure, no problem. What Bob didn't realize is my personal physician is an old Asian man that doesn't give a flip. He's gonna take the holidays off. He's gonna take extended time off, cause well, it's his office and he can. Guess which office was closed until a few days after the new year? Yep. Am I gonna go off to the local non-emergency room on a sick day to camp out for a doctor's note? Yeah, no. Am I gonna pay out of pocket to go to another doctor to get a note so Bob can be happy? Most definitely no. I guess my only choice is to hang out at home resting until the new year and then pop in and get my note. So I do. When I'm finally done with my sick time and get my doctor's note, it's now nearly 2 weeks later. I head back to work and drop off my note to Bob when I get in. "Hey Bob, here's the note you wanted. You were gone for a long time. Yeah, you wanted that doctor's note and I didn't wanna get in trouble since you said it was required. My doctor's office was closed until just yesterday. You couldn't get the note anywhere else? You gonna pay for my doctor's office visits?" I smiled and walked out. Sick time is accrued at my place of employment, about 80-ish hours a year, and it rolls over until you max out at 800 plus hours. Then you use it or lose it. At the time of this incident I had accrued over 700 hours. So plenty of sick time to burn as I never really used it. And yes, it's my time. I earned it. The last story is called "You Need an Account for That." We had a hailstorm in my area and my car was pummeled with the hail. Not a huge deal, as most dentless hail repairs will do it way cheaper than your insurance pays. Call my insurance and they schedule me for 3 days later on a Sunday of all things. The lady shows up and takes photos and prints me off a settlement check on the spot. With a slight problem being, the check is written out to me and the national financing company I bought my car from years ago. Somehow, when I paid off my car, they never released my title and I never noticed. I now cannot deposit my check without them releasing their claim on my car, which has been paid off for at least 10 years by this point. After some calling around and jumping through hoops, I am told if I go to National Bank that issued my insurance check with some paperwork from the bank that they will release all claims on my car, I could cash my insurance check. Fine, but stupid. The National Bank isn't in my town and it is a 45-minute drive to them. I verified everything by speaking with a manager at the nearest bank and verified all I needed was the letters, my ID and the check, and he would cash my check. I show up and head to a teller like the local manager told me to do and presented all the required documentation. The teller asked me what my account number was. I told her I didn't have one. She informed me that checks over a certain amount could not be cashed if a person did not have an account with them. I informed her that the manager told me that I could cash this check if I showed the required documentation. She informed me he didn't know what he was talking about and called him over. They had a nice private conversation and collectively informed me that the teller was correct and I had to have an account. Funny enough, as I walked up to the bank, a sign was informing people that if new users signed up for an account and deposited an amount smaller than my insurance check, you would get a $250 sign-up bonus. I asked what was required to set up an account, and lo and behold, it took a whole 10 minutes to set up my new account, and about a week for the check to clear and get my $250 bonus. I transferred everything but the required amount to keep the account open, because you had to close out in person. I think it was $10 or under. And now it's your time to shine. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories? I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.